And of course, every day is learning, and sharing is something which is so important that it would not have any negative impacts. So that's why, like, I know, I mean, it's quite a lot. I mean, because I gave a global purview, and then from there I tapered down to what we are doing in India. And then in terms of next steps, I also, like, shared what are the, like, burning issues, and how can we do it. So that's why this is one of the reasons I say yes to Dr. Chetna Taru Foundation, when they actually decided, when they actually requested that, I come and talk to you. And so, I mean, I would encourage you to search for our Plan A 2025 document, or I can actually send a link to Taro Foundation, and they would be happy to share that with you. And with that, I guess I would stop here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We will be having a question answer round after 10 minutes. Till the time, I will ask attendees and participants, if you have any question, kindly put on your chat box so we can start question and answer after 10 minutes or so. Meanwhile, I would also like to say something regarding SDGs. Having a PhD in microfinance, the source of research, I will say, is why India, even after 70 plus year of independence, is still having a majority of a population facing poverty. So very first goal of SDG is no poverty. We think, even in India, I will say majority of the people think poverty is only in India and not across the globe, which is actually not true. We all know there are the countries which are divided into three major economic strata: underdeveloped, developing, and developed. Now it depends on the strategy of the country, their government, what they follow, what is the strategy, what is their goal to come out of from developing to developed country. In today's scenario, everyone is opposing China, but we must say that China have worked out in a better way in terms of population and development. Being into a developing country like India, we always have to balance between the development, economic development through infrastructure, research, and development. At the same time, we have to invest money for the betterment of our own citizen. So this is my point of view when I started doing research in microfinance. So I used to think ki when a small country like Bangladesh is able to successfully implement the model of microfinance and SHG, then why it is not successful in India? When that model have helped Bangladesh to come out of poverty and give a sustainable life to the deprived population of a country, then why not in India? So while doing this research, we came to know that government of India have also planned many schemes regarding to achieve this goal of sustainable development till 2030. And Niti Aayog plays a very important role into that. If we will see the budget of Indian government, so we will see it is not basically an investment budget. We called it as a subsidy budget, because for everything uh, we are just asking the government to give us a subsidy, which is somewhere needed also for the deprived population of India. And here I would like to again say one thing, like 1% of the family in India having majority of the wealth, while the 80-90% of the population of India is not even having affordability for two times of milk. And recently, last week, when our Prime Minister have asked us what is the role according to COVID-19, they said we will give food to 80 crore population of India till November. It itself shows that in India, 80 crore peoples are not even having some backup plan to afford their food. how we will going to achieve sustainable development goal, no poverty, a goal number 1 till 2030. It is a question mark. Now, where is the gap where we are lacking here? So maybe we are lacking in the implementation. We have our plans here, but at the same time we don't have a strategy to implement those plans. Here I would like to show one report by Niti Aayog, which says ki around only 4 to 5% of population in India is able to, not even 4 to 5%, I will say 4 to 5% of states in India is able to come out of poverty, or they are the front runner in fighting the poverty in India. While 80% of the union territories and even states are still underperformer. They are carrying the majority of a poor population in India. And here we call this as Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Orissa somewhere. These states are called as a state of poor people. Their image has been made like this. So we as a Taru Foundation, when we work in Chhattisgarh, we really find it out that there are a tribal population in India who is not able to perform well or able to get the 2 time of meals. But yes, government is trying to come up with many kind of schemes where they can do the livelihood by forming a SHG. In Taru Foundation, we have 5,000 farmers with us. So we know ki individually they may not able to fight the poverty, but when you come as a group of people and you form a SSG, then you may able to fight with the poverty. In the same way, there are many models which is recognized by the RBI also, and of course by IIBF and also by Niti Aayog, like bank linkage model. When a poor people or when a person comes under a BPL line, go to bank, they can't even get a loan for the funeral. They can't even get a loan for medical emergency because of the lack of documents. And there's a lack of document because these people are migrants. They go from one state to another state in search of a food, in search of their livelihood. So how we can go for inclusive development, how we can go for no poverty till 2030 when we are not even having a proper planning. This is a big question in front of India. And during this COVID-19, we have seen it very real scenario that if the migrants are not going from UP, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand to the south of India, basically the economy of metro cities will go down. These are the one of the biggest and strong pillar of Indian economy who are contributing for the development of India, and it is a peak time. The government should think about their development by not only providing subsidy, because subsidy will make them liable for a while where they don't have to give it back, but on a long term, of course, this will not gonna help them. They should have a sustainable livelihood where they are very sure that our livelihood will keep on going. Same way happen with the state government. If they are not having a proper framework for the development of their deprived population, they will lag behind in the development of a nation. Then when we say India is a developing country, it may be only for Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Pune, Hyderabad, Kolkata. It may be not developing for somewhere Bastar, where we are actually working. It may not be developing for, say, Gadchiroli, which is an Naxalite hit area. So no poverty, is it only for urban population of India, or is it for the whole population which are residing inside the country? We also have a case of Dharavi, which is also known as, or I can say famous as the biggest slum globally. And COVID-19 have hit them very badly because of the dense population of that area. So no poverty only comes when we have a sustainable livelihood for this people. Now this poverty will not gonna hit only those people who are into BPL. It will also going to hit the skilled educated population of India, because we are moving forward toward that era where engineers, graduates who are skilled, qualified, but are unemployed. And if we all know the chain of this psychology, if you are unemployed, you will go with the very first basic need, that is your food and basic amenities, and this will ultimately lead to the increase in the crime rates also. That's why we say when the city advance, crimes also advance. So Indian government is doing their best by giving the subsidy on food, by giving the subsidy for the micro loans, the loans which comes under 5,000 and 15,000, and these small loans are giving to the poor people of a society so that they can become a hawker, they can open their vegetable stall, they can do some small work, or in Hindi we can say lagu udyog, cottage industry, where they can able to generate some livelihood with a minimum training and a skill. Corporates are doing their best, government is also doing their best, but we have to understand the population of India is very vast. And yes, the efforts are good, but timely delivery will actually gonna help them, as the population will keep on migrating from one place to another, and we would be having a biggest failure of no poverty in India, which is again got a backlog because of this stagnance of economy from last 1 year. Now it is a time for question and answer round. I would request the participants, if they will have any questions, they can ask us on the chat box.
Hello.
Yeah, Nathan, you would like to say something?
Yeah, Nitin here. Yeah, Chetna, I just want to ask one question to Mr. Ranjit Sharma ji. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ranjiv, I was actually going through your detail about Mark and Spencer and the belief and the vision of the organization. I from the brief I got to know that the organization is basically working for the human rights, business connectivity, and the better supply management. And through these three factors, the organization also talking about the sustainability prospect. My question is that, uh, and I just wanted to ask how these three factors changes the dynamics when we talk about the rural prospects. How these three factors play the role and how the dynamics basically change accordingly if we come to the rural prospect.
Yeah, I mean, I had made it very clear that as a company we have a global footprint, right? And like Chetna had very elaborately talked about, you know, the current situation today. And I mean, I think the biggest bane is our population. I mean, but then, although he mentioned about Bangladesh, where they have done some work in the microeconomy. However, there are also horrors like Rana Plaza and Tazreen fire. I think so. And then also from a garment sector perspective, Bangladesh is really struggling and then that's why I think they are one of the priority countries in the IOE call for action. Now, if you talk about rural, prospect, I mean, as a company, I think we are here to do business. Obviously, we are not government. So some of the things which are needed and as mentioned by Chetna, I think government has to play important role, but also I think there has to be a PPP where, I think government has reached out to the public and the private sector. And you must have seen overwhelmingly people actually contributed to the PM Cares Fund. and also some of the corporates, they went into manufacturing of PPE. A lot of our supply base, in fact, when our stores closed, because COVID-19 is something that actually affected the whole world, and our stores in London were closed. Obviously, we were not able to take our goods. So in that scenario, we actually we are a few companies actually we did not cancel our orders, and we also uh, encourage them to actually look at alternative production. But again, so coming back to your question, I think the only thing that actually touches the rural dynamic from our perspective is cotton, and which means agriculture. So I mean, we source food from, but essentially most of our food is sourced from Europe. Maybe tomorrow when we open stores in India, when they start selling food, maybe then of course the footprint will grow in the agricultural sector. So that leaves cotton. And so if you link of what we have said about sustainability and business, the dynamics actually bring down to similar other brands also, like who have made a commitment. For example, we have made a commitment by 2019. So we are in 2020. So 100% of our raw materials will come from sustainable sources, which means Better Cotton Initiative, which has got around 95%. And then of course we have organic cotton, fair trade cotton. So Better Cotton Initiative, we help the farmers, to be trained, and we give them good farming practices. So I think we have spent every year we spend equivalent amount of money that is actually in terms of the volume sourced. We also talked about human rights. We also talked about land reforms. We also talk about health and safety. We also talk about fair pay. So this is how we are actually touching, not in a very big way, if you talk about the Indian rural sector, but the rural sectors of China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Vietnam, Cambodia, wherever, and essentially I think Bangladesh doesn't grow cotton. So I think India, bulk of it is India and China. For example, we are concerned, you must have heard about what's happening in the Xinjiang region, which grows cotton, and then of course Better Cotton Initiative has suspended license from the cotton growers in Xinjiang because of whatever is happening there in terms of human rights violation.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ranjeev ji. Very well explained. And we as
Yeah,
a
Nitin, here I would like to, yeah, please.
yeah, and we from the brief and from the detailed understanding and hearing from such a personality like you, we really one thing is very sure, and the one thing that everybody should understand and work on is the individual contribution to the society and to the government and to the system. So I guess first of all we should be we should basically work upon uh, our structure, the way we actually take the things, and the way we have to act for the society, to the society, and for the betterment of the society. So if we work on the individual growth or the individual prospect, so everything will basically come in the line, and will get we are talking about NDGs, we are talking about SDGs. So these are all the things, of course, but the unit is what a human being. Okay, so I think this is something that we as an individual should focus and work upon, and this is what I basically came to know, and rest of the things will work accordingly. So yeah, all hand over to you, Chetna. You can basically take it further.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So by realizing this need, this gap, that what is happening, government is giving them a money that, yeah, this is your loan and you can do some work. Even they are giving subsidies to farmer. But when it comes to monitoring, Just imagine there is a small village where people are sitting on a chopal, where men are working only 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening, somewhere 4 to 6 or 3:30 to 6 o'clock. If the home which is already suffering from poverty and you are giving them a money to do some work, definitely he will first go and buy the food, or the husband will go and do the gambling. So this is where the things which is prevailing at that level of society, which I have seen during my research. So here the psychological training, the training towards the betterment of your life is also very much needed. And this is a gap where we are actually lacking. There are thousands of crores of rupees people are giving as a subsidy, and government is giving as a loan. According to RBI, 26% of the loan amount compulsorily should be given to agriculturists. But there is only one district officer for 10 district when we go to government banks. So again, the ratio of staff versus to the people who need it, it is having a huge gap. So this is somewhere where India is lacking. When we talk about farmers also, India is a country of small and marginal farmers having a 1 acre of land or maybe below 1 acre of land. So these people having their own tractors, machine, harvesters, seeds, fertilizer, it's very difficult. Again, here there is a need of the intervention